And in January of 2005, I walked into my team and I said, we are going to make, it wasn't a documentary at that stage or a movie, or I didn't know what it was. We are going to make something that will change the world. And they thought I was mad.
Well,
And I said,
isn't there some saying about like it takes someone with like someone crazy or mad to change the world? They have to actually believe it's possible.
Totally.
Which
Yeah.
is the secret, you know?
And so that was how it all began. And you know, we were really practicing the secret while making the secret. And so we became very, very aware. You know, I was very aware of signs, of messages, of hearing things, of being guided, but everything we needed was just put in front of us. Absolutely everything.
What were the signs? Like, what were the things happening that made you go, green light, green light, green light, here we go?
Okay, so one example is we came to the United States to film teachers. We had no teachers lined up to film, absolutely none whatsoever. We could reach teachers so easily, like it was just crazy. And they would all just say yes. But one of the teachers was Jack Canfield, and he was in Aspen at the time. And so we went to Aspen. He agreed to be filmed. And he asked me to do a presentation when I got there, and we'd made a big trailer. And there were something like 60 teachers in that room that I presented. And Jack, when I presented the secret and what it was going to do, and Jack said, who wants to be in this documentary? Put your hand up. They all put their hand up. And so in addition to that, we had been trying to get in touch with Bob Proctor through his people. And then when we were in Aspen, finally, my researcher was in touch with his personal assistant, and she said, look, where are you at the moment? And it was my sister actually who was helping me, and she said, we're in Aspen. And Bob's assistant said, oh my God.
He's in Aspen.
He's in Aspen. Yeah, he's in Aspen. And so the moment she told him, he came over to us in 30 minutes because he knew it was meant to be. And they all knew, like, they all just knew something incredible was happening. And even the way we released it, like I'd had in my mind that because I had a production company that was that made content for television. And so in my mind, this was going to be released on television through networks around the world in a 24-hour period. That was the way that I saw it, that it would be released globally basically at the same time. And so I had all of these networks all interested. And then there was this extraordinary thing. They all just dropped out, like one by one by one by one. And so I knew that this was not the way it was meant to go. And so I just opened myself to the possibility of it going out differently. We spoke to some film companies. They just wanted to buy it and, buy it out completely. And I wouldn't do it. And so then eventually what happened was I saw an advertisement on the internet, and you've kind of got to imagine a time that was so different from now. But I saw this British Airways commercial on the internet, and I was like, that's it. We released this on the internet. Now, no movie had ever been released on the internet. And I called my CEO and I said, we'll release it on the internet. It will go around the world in 24 hours. And he said, oh, that might be one way that you release it, but you can't release it that way entirely. Well, do you know my CEO happened to be amazing at technology. He worked with a company that just happened to be 2 streets from my office who put out that British Airways commercial in Melbourne, in Australia. And he worked with them and created the technology for the secret to go out on the internet. So it was the first first film that had gone out on the internet.
Wow.
And within 1 hour of it going out, I knew that was it. Like, I just sat back, and it didn't matter what happened from there. It was out in the world, and that was all that mattered to me.
But what's special about that story is that it's really easy to see the signs when it's positive. But it's hard, I feel like, to accept the signs when they're negative. And so as you were being, left to dry with the networks about putting it out on television, I think that to me was a striking part about the story, is that you go, okay, well, we're not going to do it that way. But that might be the point. And I'm curious how you got to the point where you could where you allowed the signs, both positive and negative, to equal in volume, because that would be the point in time where, my older self, where I'm so used to forcing, I would push through and I'd be like, well, let's call somebody else and let's figure this out. Give me the phone, send me I'll send an email. Let's go there. And I would push through it. And that's like, so can you explain how you got to that point, and how you then, and how you also stay in alignment so that you don't force things that aren't, because you have to put effort into things, but there's a difference between effort and forcing to the point where you're getting enough signs that it's kind of turning into a wall.
Yeah, that's true. I just knew from The Secret that everything was happening for me. And that also meant that if there was a block, don't push against it. If there is a block, and that is something doesn't come through straight away, stop. And for example, like, I'll give you an example. We filmed a teacher that I wasn't 100% sure about when we filmed that teacher, but there was a technical problem all through it, and it was unusable footage. And so I knew that person was not meant to be in it. Then there were other teachers that we contacted who didn't respond, really well-known ones, for example, who didn't respond. And I knew they were not meant to be in it. I knew that whatever we needed would be given to us. And if there was a block, I would not push against it. And as you say, actually, it's very different from what I used to be, because I used to be, I will fix this, I will do this, I will get it done, and look for another way. But instead I would stop and I would wait to see what was going to be shown to me. And this is living The Secret.